Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Frequency Shift with Alexis Gallagher and Susan Elliott. We're so happy you're here. We are studying and discussing The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. It's a fantastic book which we both love and relate to very well. And we are on chapters 3 and 4. So in chapters 3 and 4, he's talking about chapter 3 is the miracle working power of your subconscious mind. And so Joseph Murphy is talking about how you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the gatekeeper to your subconscious. It's basically to guard any thoughts that you allow to go and be planted into the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is basically a faithful servant. Whatever you plant with faith and belief, it's going to accept it and just automatically manifest. So that's why we caution over and over that it's so important to be very careful what you're planting, because it's easy. All of us do it sometimes, until we train ourselves to allow negative emotions to get planted in there, and they manifest. So he's talking about the law of your mind, and whatever you feel and believe, that becomes your experience. So, and he talks about how belief is so important because it unlocks the subconscious mind. And so in this chapter, he's talking about the healing power, and he goes over a lot of what his history is and what he did, and what he witnessed, experienced through this subconscious mind. He says, while lecturing at the Yoga Forest University in Rishikesh, India, and I believe I pronounced that correctly, I had a long conversation with a surgeon who was visiting from Bombay. From him, I learned the astonishing story of Dr. James Esdell. Esdell was a Scottish surgeon who practiced in Bengal during the 1840s. So that was a long time ago. This was before this was before ether or other modern methods of chemical anesthesia were used. Nevertheless, between 1843 and 1846, Dr. Esdell performed some 400 major surgical operations of all kinds. These included amputations, removal of tumors and cancerous growths, and operations on the eye, ear, and throat. All these operations were performed under mental anesthesia only. Patients said they felt no pain, and none of them died of surgery. So he would he would help them get in like a sleepy state, and he would plant the seed. There's none of this. It's not going to hurt. Your subconscious is going to guard against bacteria, and this was before um, modern antibiotics were even invented. So this is so powerful. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
He said they set in motion the processes needed to fight off the life-threatening dangers of infection. So when you think about it, this is just a miraculous how powerful your subconscious mind is, that this doctor was able to perform all these procedures without people getting sick. And I think the mortality rate was even extremely low, and people didn't die of infection. So that's pretty.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I love that part. Your subconscious is your book of life. So, whatever thoughts, beliefs, opinions, theories, or dogmas you write, engrave, or impress on your subconscious mind, you'll experience them as the objective manifestation of circumstances, conditions, and events. He says, you're always writing the book of life because your thoughts become your experiences. And then he points out the great American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson talked about man is what he thinks all day long. So, and again, it's so important to, the only way you can become aware is to do self checks throughout the day. What am I thinking? You know, what thoughts am I thinking? Ask yourself really good questions. What was I thinking, you know, just a few minutes ago? And
Why, right?
yeah,
Too. Why? Where is that thought coming? And why do I believe that, right? It's like, what do I think? Why do I think that? And do I want to believe that, right? Because then you can choose. Because we're so
right.
programmed, reading that, I'm thinking all the things we're so taught about germs and fear of germs and all that pertaining to what you just read. And it's like, well, why do I think that? Why do I believe that? What do I want to believe?
Exactly. And we're so conditioned from the time we're little, you know, these seeds are planted from our whole
Mhm.
environment, teachers and like Bob taught, when you're at a young age, your mind is like a sponge. It just grabs onto everything. And if you feel it and believe it, then that's how it manifests. But you can change it.
Yes.
So he goes on, he says, what is impressed in the subconscious is expressed. In the ancient world, Hermes Trismegistus had the reputation of being the greatest, most powerful magus in the world that the world's ever known. When his tomb was opened, centuries after passing, those who were in touch with the wisdom of the ancients waited with great expectancy and a sense of wonder. It was said that the greatest secret of the ages would be found within the tomb, and so it was. The secret inscribed in the tomb read, as within, so without. As above, so below. In other words, whatever you impress in your subconscious mind, that becomes expressed on the screen of space. This same truth was proclaimed by Moses, Isaiah, Jesus, Buddha, Zoroaster, Lao Tzu, and all the illumined seers of the ages. Whatever you feel is true subjectively is expressed on conditions, experiences, and events. Motion and emotion must balance, as in heaven, on earth, in body and environment. That is the great law of life. So he goes on and he's talking about how his subconscious healed a malignancy on his skin, and he'd put himself in a sleepy drowsy state, and then do his affirmation or prayer or meditation, and how the healing power worked. um, Here he's talking about a formula that was used for the healing power. He says, I formulated very simple and direct prayer. My body and all its organs are created by infinite intelligence in my subconscious mind. It knows how to heal me. Its wisdom fashioned all my organs, tissues, muscles, and bones, and the infinite healing presence within me is now transforming every cell in my being, making me whole and perfect. I give thanks for the healing I know is taking place at this time. Wonderful are the works of the creation within me. So he gives good examples throughout the book on what you can do and how to formulate your own affirmations to say. And like I think Alexa said last time, how so important it is to impress these like right before you're going to sleep, because your mind is wide open. Your subconscious is receptive in that drowsy, sleepy state.
Hmm.
And
The law. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
he's just said, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say just this is we're talking about Emerson and it's the law of cause and effect here too. So it's one of the great laws that we also study. It's a universal law and a cause and effect. When I was first learning that, like, what does that mean? And it's just your thinking and your results. So just another way of saying it.
And so then he says, he's illustrating how your subconscious controls all your body functions. So like, we don't even think about it. You breathe, your heart pumps blood. It's just a natural thing that happens. And without it, you would die. And he says if you had to do that consciously with your conscious mind, you would die because your body would not automatically do it. It just wouldn't. And
Yeah.
he says, um, worry, anxiety, fear, and depression interfere with the normal functioning of the heart, lungs, stomach, and intestines. The medical community is just beginning to appreciate the seriousness of so-called stress-related diseases. The reason is that these patterns of thought interference with the harmonious functioning of the subconscious mind. That reminds me that Joe Dispenza, another great teacher, he talks about how your body has different little minds of its own, each part of your body that you can impress, and they have their own functioning. And his story is a whole nother story of self-healing. If you're interested, he's a walking miracle. Joseph Murphy, or not Joseph Murphy, it's Joe Dispenza. And so we might only get through chapter 3, like I said, at this time, and do 4 at a later date. And so he goes on, he says, how to get the subconscious to work for you. So he says, in a claim that the healing presence in your subconscious is flowing you as harmony, health, peace, joy, and abundance. Think of it as living intelligence, a lovely companion on the way. Firmly believe it is continually flowing through you, verifying, inspiring, and prospering you. It will respond exactly this way. It is done unto you as you believe. So notice how he constantly talks about believing, how important it is. All these practices are great to talk about, but if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. You have to believe. And so he goes on, he's talking about how in one instance it restored somebody's sight, and how they were able, even though on examination by all the doctors, they shouldn't have been able to see, but their sight was restored anyway. So I know it sounds like crazy stuff, but this book is a great book. And then he goes on, he's how to convey the idea of perfect health to your subconscious. And he said that a minister in Johannesburg had overcome advanced cancer. And he talks about what he did, that he several times a day that this minister got in a relaxed state, and he relaxed himself, and then he affirmed the perfection of God is now being expressed through me. The idea of perfect health is now filling my subconscious mind. The image of God has of me is a perfect image, and my subconscious mind creates my body in perfect accordance with a perfect image held in the mind of God. So, I mean, when you think about it, we were created perfectly, and especially our spiritual DNA was created perfectly. It doesn't have any deficiencies whatsoever. So at the end of this chapter, he's just talking about a wonderful way to convey the idea of health to your subconscious is through disciplined or scientific imagination. I told a man who was suffering from functional paralysis to make a vivid picture of himself walking around his office, touching the desk, answering the phone, and doing all the things he ordinarily would do if he were healed. I explained to him that his mental visualization of perfect health would be accepted by his subconscious mind. He threw himself into the role. He actually felt himself back in the office. He knew he was giving his subconscious mind something concrete and definite to work on. His subconscious mind was the film, and he used visualization and he impressed it upon his subconscious mind. And then he was actually able to walk, which is miraculous.
That is
Um, and
amazing.
so that's why Alexis and I always teach and talk about, things happen in your life, but don't dwell on them. Don't give them energy. The more energy you give to something, the more it manifests, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, and the universe doesn't know the difference, so it's just going to give you whatever you focus on and are consistent with. So changing that to healing and perfect healthy body and mind and focused on that and believing it and giving thanks for it. And that's how you get what you want. Yeah, and continually asking yourself what you want is another great way to stay in alignment and praxis.
Yeah.
Anything else, Susan? Or
Not this time. It's just so important to know too what you want. Sometimes it's easy to say, but then when you start writing things down, you find out more. It's like I said, you need to ask yourself questions, because when you ask yourself a great question, and sometimes you find out that your answer changes, because it's
Mhm.
about awareness, knowing yourself better. It's like, wait a minute, do I really want that goal, or do I want some other goal? So
Right, because we might be thinking about the goal because we have these other paradigms blocking us in, but it's like, well, maybe we do want something else if we believe we can have whatever we want.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you all so much, and we're so grateful that you are here with Susan and I on the frequency shift. And until next time, everybody be well, take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next episode.